So another exciting Monday. I got a package from Straumann, so let's see what it contains today and see what we can find. Well, it contains the new modular cassettes, and basically it also contains some guided surgery. Let's see if there's something interesting. First of all, I find it interesting that they now have the instruments that I like to work with. For example, this one. I like that it's easy for the nurses also to keep it clean and tight. I like the overview of the drill set. It also provides a very predictable procedure for us. So everybody knows where to put what and what line we're working in. One thing I find very convenient now with the modular cassettes is that you can adapt it to the clinical situation or the procedure that they're performing. So we can then have one specific cassette for BLX implants, and then you can have one for your tissue level implants or for your bone level implants, and that's good. But all the necessary instruments for all the procedures you will find in your auxiliary cassette, and you can build this as you would like to yourself. Basically it will come with a recommended setup, but I can then adjust whatever I need in this to have it as my personal cassette. So we're going to look at the new modular cassettes from Straumann. There are several parts involved. We can look upon the basic cassette first, and this one seems to be containing most of what we need. Then we have the probing pin or the probing depth, which I like. This one is specifically very nice because it has a ball in one of the ends, and on the other end it has a plate. So the ball, in my experience, is to use when you are exploring the socket or the sites that you're actually doing your osteotomy, and you can use the plate for example, when you're close to the sinus or when you're packing biomaterials. That's also usable. They're all color coded, or not color coded, but laser marked with depth, as with traditional Straumann instruments, so they're recognizable. Let me see if we put this one correctly. Then we have the torque control, which you will reckon if you are a Straumann user from before, you will see this one. The only thing in the BLX auxiliary cassette is that you actually have this black suit for it. So there's another range of the torque that goes up to 80 Newton centimeters. We have all the different screwdrivers, both for handheld and also for machine, and it's very convenient that you also have the for machine in 3 different heights, because in the posterior, when you have angulated abutments, you might need to access limited vertical spaces in the posterior, so that's always good to have. And there's also in this cassette, there's the profiling system for the BLX, or when you use the SRAs in the posterior, when you use angulation, you have them. If I would look upon this cassette in how I use this in surgical practice in my clinic, I would typically then remove the tweezer, because I'm traditionally not using it. And up until now, at least, using BLX, I could basically also remove the profile drills because of the design of the SRAs are so good now, so that we haven't been forced to do profiling at any case at the moment, but they'll stay in because they're instruments that we traditionally would use in different systems. What I would put in this one, I would put in another module for spare instruments, and they're easily just attached like this, and then hopefully, if I did my things correctly, they will stay in the box. This is good. If you want to remove them, you have the back part of the torque, and then you just press, and then you remove this one. Either for changing instruments or for cleaning or whatever you need to do, it's easy to remove these. And then they snap back in. So this is the basic cassette. So, and it also has a marking place on the front of it that says that if we remove this one, and we can specifically say that this box was made for BLX, and then we have BLX auxiliary, so it's also nice for my nurses and the rest of the office to know that this is the box to open when we are working with BLX. So let's put the small cassette of auxiliary instruments aside and have a look at the specific cassette which we use when we are performing treatment with BLX. This one is already marked with BLX, so it sets both on the top and also on the front of it. Let's see if we can open it. Good. An easy cassette to follow because everything's color coded. And if we go from the left, we can go for the drills first. This would typically then be the needle drill or the pilot drill. This is also laser marked on the same depth that Straumann uses, as starting with then 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 and 18. And it has the diameter of 1.6 millimeters. You will see also these are also marked in the cassette, so you can see. Then we go through the color-coded lines. You'll see the different diameters of drills. You will then have a short and a long of each diameter. And if you are used to working with Straumann, you will recognize quite a lot of them. Let me see. So at least from a starting point, you'll recognize the blue one as 2.2, the yellow one as 2.8, and the red one as the 3.5. Those are very common things. They did put in some other diameters because now we're working with a drill protocol that is adaptable to the clinical situation regarding the bone. And as you have fully tapered implants, you might need to adjust the drill protocol. So what is good is that you have a 3.2 put in, you have a 3.7 put in, there's a 4.7 put in, and then we have a very wide part on 5.2 and a 6.2 in the end. In the same line as you have these drills, you also have the indication pins. They will also be color coded, so blue will be blue according to the 2.2, and they will also be, of course, marked with the same type of length. You'll have the blue one on 2.8, white one on 3.2, and so on until you come up to the 6.2, which is huge. The last thing which is in the cassette now that we haven't shown is the implant driver. So we have an implant driver for machine, and we have an implant driver for the ratchet. They're built the same way. The connection for the BLX, the thorax connection, is in, and there's also these small markings. Let's use my favorite instruments to point them out. There's also these small markings of this one showing that the small dots for 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter, 3 millimeters, and 4 millimeters up to the collar. That shows how deep your implant is placed, for example, when you work in an extraction socket. So those are nice. Those are nice feature of these cassettes. Let's see if there's something in the bottom. I don't think there is more in this one, but let's see if we can open it. We're able to do. No, it's just for cleaning. But let's prove that they're actually in the cassette as we turn them around. This is also a trouble we have with different systems and their cassettes, is that if you press a component down, it goes through. So it's important that you have these specific plastic rings so that they're not falling out. So this seems to be working well. Good. And probably this one is made for good cleaning accessibility. So hopefully this one will snap back in a way. I don't know how, but I've never done this before, but let's see. Yeah, snapped in. Good. And this is basically the features of the two cassettes that I would use if you, for some reason, would like to add more instruments. In addition to the two boxes, you have also an auxiliary extra, or you could basically call this the extra cassette, where you can have all the different alignment pins in a higher amount. And you can have different indicators, you can have different drills and whatever you need to supply as an extra. I would advise you not to fill up a lot of these, but I would kind of basically have one of them with the necessary things that I'd like to use, and just keep it and say if during surgery I would need something extra, I would ask them to open the extra cassette. Otherwise I'd leave it in the closet and not use it. Some smart guy showed me that it's actually able to put it in some way. Yeah, that's good. Get the air going. And then it's two cassettes in one, which was good. And probably you could have one more. So when you don't have too much to do at your clinic, you can build big cassettes. Good, you have everything. I like it.
Sorry.
It's okay. This is the other one for the guided surgery, but let's demount it. This concept, I hadn't seen this concept before, so for some reason I now feel that I'm a little bit smarter than I started out being, so this was good. I was wondering what that space was, but I thought it was for cleaning, but now you can actually put in extra instruments. Good. Smart way. Good for the nurses. Again, they will be happy with this.